Hi, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. I am your host. I have been a little under the weather, so I apologize if my voice is a little weak. I'm going to try to do a video here. Hope it turns out. I hope the sound works. But this is a mini book haul for some books I picked up from Book Outlet. I have to say, for the first time in a long time, I had a very unpleasant shopping experience at Book Outlet, which precluded many books that I had picked out that were just so grievously damaged. I was able to get a refund, but it was a hassle. I had to take pictures of every book, front, back, whatever, submit them before they would, trust me enough, I guess, to give me a refund, which was kind of crazy. So some of the books I wanted to show you I never got because they were damaged and they are just too screwed up to even want to show you on here. So they're in a box in the garage and I'm considering just recycling them because they're so jacked. So from a recent 2 orders from Book Outlet and the one that was seriously screwed up, I only had 3 serviceable books that I kept out of my order of like 10. The other 7 were just jacked. I couldn't believe it. So I'm a little more leery now of ordering from Book Outlet. Anyway, I do apologize if my voice, like I said, is a little weak sounding. I think I've been fighting something for a little while, but it's really just ramped up in the last couple days. I think it could just be sinuses, drainage, allergies, but I'm not prone to allergies, but I did start getting a sore throat last night, which has gotten better today, but I just feel like my eyes are red and watery. I'm just feeling icky. And I'm supposed to go work an event in 2 weeks downtown in Denver. So I really hope I'm not, I didn't pick up COVID. Been doing a lot of social engagements recently. So I've been exposed to more people. So I'm just hoping it's not anything like that. Fingers crossed. I do apologize for my less than stellar look and sound and feel and all this kind of stuff. But it has been so long, and I wanted to check back in with you guys. And because, I'm always getting books. So let's just go ahead and start, because I don't know how much energy I'll have. So this is one of the 3 books that were I kept from the really crappy shipment I got from Book Outlet. We've got right here, Encounters at the Heart of the World, A History of the Mandan People by Elizabeth A. Fenn. And this was the winner of the Pulitzer Prize. So I love reading about Native American peoples, the different tribes, different ethnic groups, and how they interacted with each other and the Europeans. So the fact that this won the Pulitzer Prize, I figured I should get on it. Now this is put out by Hill and Wang, and you gotta love that name of a publisher, Hill and Wang. It says here, we used to know of the Mandan Indians, iconic plains people whose teeming, busy towns on the upper Missouri River were for centuries at the center of the North American universe, mostly because Lewis and Clark wintered in their midst in 1804 to 1805. But these prosperous villagers had a rich history, which Elizabeth A. Fenn retrieves in Encounters at the Heart of the World. The story emerges from Fenn's own encounters as well as from new archaeological findings and relevant work in anthropology, geology, climatology, epidemiology, and nutritional science. This path-breaking, readable account of centuries of Mandan prosperity gives us a new perspective on an early American history, inviting us to watch it unfold among native peoples at the very center of the continent. So that sounds really good. I probably got it for $6 or something at Book Outlet. These paperbacks come very, very cheap at Book Outlet, so I was happy to grab that. And I was happy out of the 10 books I ordered that this one was okay. I was kind of bummed about the others because I was really excited to show you. And even still, these ones are still not in the best condition, but I figured, these are serviceable. So the next book I got is Basil Davidson's The Lost Cities of Africa. It says it's a revised edition. This was put out probably a while ago, Back Bay book. Yeah, this is like an older edition that was printed 1987, I think, is this edition. It says here the New York Review of Books has praised Basil Davidson, Basil or Basil, okay, as the most effective popularizer of African history and archaeology outside Africa, and certainly the one best trusted in Black Africa itself. The Lost Cities of Africa was the first book published in Davidson's highly praised series on African culture, so if I like this, I might check out his other titles. Combining archaeological evidence and scholarly research, Davidson traces the exciting development of the rich kingdoms of the lost cities of Africa, 1,500 years before European ships first came to African shores. It's fantastic. And some of the blurbs, was it Kwame Nkrumah? I'm trying to figure out which African country he represented. I'm drawing a blank right now, but Kwame Nkrumah called it a book which must inspire all Africans to a pride in our past. So that's fantastic. This is going to be a nice follow-up to a book I recently finished reading, which I hope to, if I have energy this weekend, to make another video just to kind of do another check-in on what I'm reading and what I have read. But I recently read this book, Africa is Not a Country, Notes on a Bright Continent by Dipo Faloyan. Outstanding. I've written a review, a long-form review for this for Book Browse Review, which will be coming out soon. I will link my review on all my social media channels, so if you want to read it, my review. But I highly recommend this book. This book is brand new. It just came out from W.W. Norton. But Africa is Not a Country. It's brilliant. And I think this other book I bought here will be just a nice follow-up from what I've learned in Mr. Faloyan's book. All right, now we're moving on. I've got a hardcover. Woo! I notice with Book Outlet that the cheaper ones are all the paperbacks and soft covers, but sometimes now and then you can score a hardcover for pretty cheap. And I've been meaning to read this because I just read a book and reviewed it by these authors. And this is by Greg King and Penny Wilson. And this is The Last Voyage of the Andrea Doria, the sinking of the world's most glamorous ship. Now, I read their recent release, which is about Leopold and Loeb. It's called Nothing But the Night, and I did link my review to that book in my social media, so you can follow me. It's in the description box or at the top of my channel banner. You can see all my social media icons. So, but yeah, so I really like how Greg King and Penny Wilson write together. And I've always been intrigued by what the hell happened to the Andrea Doria, you know. So this is by St. Martin's Press. It's a fairly new book. This came out in 2020. So, it says here, in 1956, a stunned world watched as the famous Italian ocean liner Andrea Doria sank after being struck by a Swedish vessel off the coast of Nantucket. Unlike the tragedy of the Titanic, this sinking played out in real time across radios and televisions, the first disaster of the modern age. After the unthinkable collision and perilous hours of uncertainty and terror, the pride of the Italian fleet slipped beneath the Atlantic, taking some 50 lives with her. Her loss signaled the end of the golden age of ocean liner travel. Now, Greg King and Penny Wilson offer a fresh look at this legendary liner and her tragic fate. Set against a glorious backdrop of celebrity travel and La Dolce Vita, Andrea Doria's last voyage comes vividly to life, in a narrative tightly focused on her passengers, including Cary Grant's wife, Philadelphia's flamboyant mayor, the heiress to the Marshall Field fortune, and many brave Italian immigrants who found themselves plunged into a desperate struggle to survive. It says here, drawing on in-depth research interviews with survivors and never-before-seen photos of the wreck as it is today, the last voyage of the Andrea Doria is a vibrant story of fatal errors, shattered lives, and the triumph of the human spirit. Sorry, along with everything else going on, we've got landscapers who are pouring concrete in our backyard. It's got lots of trucks outside and people walking around, so hopefully you don't pick up those sounds. But so I picked this one up as well. Then, from a separate order, which I crossed my fingers on and was hoping nothing amiss would happen, but everything arrived okay. Got some great history and one historical fiction to round out this order. So I picked up 2 books by historian Christopher Hibbert in editions that are very much mirror each other in color and design, and I love it. Plus, I love the content and the topic. These are put out by St. Martin's Griffin, and it's Italian history. So look at these 2 beautiful books. First book I picked up is, let's go back in time. We'll start with Garibaldi, Hero of Italian Unification. So Christopher Hibbert, forward by Ross King. So these are the really beautiful St. Martin's Griffin editions. And these were marked down, and I was like, wow. I haven't read too much on Garibaldi, and I would like to learn more about how Italy became unified. It says here, Giuseppe Garibaldi was praised for his military genius, his courage, and his charisma. Known as the hero of 2 worlds, Garibaldi's military prowess extended to the Americas, where he played a major role in the Brazilian struggle for independence. During his fight for Italian unification, Garibaldi personally led an army of local, untrained rebels to victory in Palermo, Naples, and Sicily. His forces suffered from lack of equipment, food, and money, and yet Garibaldi commanded their fierce loyalty. In this riveting biography, Hibbert reveals how this iconic figure earned the adulation of not only fellow Italians, but of people across the globe. So let's get all the Italian colors from the flag, But same with this one. Now, this is Mussolini. Look at these. This is a really, really great design. So I picked up Mussolini by Christopher Hibbert, and this one is a foreword by Tobias Jones. So Mussolini, The Rise and Fall of Il Duce. Not too big of a book, but again, lovely editions. With his signature insight and compelling style, acclaimed historian Christopher Hibbert explains the extraordinary complexities and contradictions that characterize Benito Mussolini. Mussolini was born on a Sunday afternoon in 1883 in a central Italian village. On a Saturday afternoon in 1945, he was shot by communist partisans on the shores of Lake Como. In the 62 years between those 2 fateful afternoons, Mussolini lived one of the most dramatic lives in modern history. Hibbert traces Mussolini's unstoppable rise to power and details the nuances of his fascist ideology, while examining Mussolini's legacy and revealing why he continues to be both revered and reviled by the Italian people. So these 2 volumes were just really delightful to find together. So I did procure those for my library. And as many of you know, I have been on a little Catholic intellectual history, church history, kind of a kick lately, and I'm reading a lot about popes and things like this. And in fact, I just recently read and reviewed a new release by this author, and I wanted to go back and read his hallmark biography of Pope John Paul II, which I've heard a lot of good things about. And they have a new softcover edition. It's the 20th anniversary edition with a new preface. So I thought this is probably the edition to pick up. If I'm going to read about Pope John Paul II, let's get this one. And it was a really good deal. But it's a big chunkster. What do we have here? Witness to Hope. The biography of Pope John Paul II. As you can see, it's the 20th anniversary edition. It's put out by Harper Perennial with a new preface, George Weigel. It says here the latest edition of the definitive biography of St. John Paul II. So, Witness to Hope is the authoritative biography of one of the singular figures, some might argue the singular figure of our time. With unprecedented cooperation from John Paul II and the people who knew and worked with him throughout his life, George Weigel offers a groundbreaking portrait of the Pope as a man, a thinker, and a leader whose religious and moral convictions defined a new approach to world politics and changed the course of history. As even his critics concede, John Paul II occupied a unique place on the world stage and put down intellectual markers that ought not to be ignored or avoided as humanity entered a new millennium, fraught with danger, as well as filled with possibility. The Pope was a man of prodigious energy who played a crucial, yet insufficiently explored role in some of the most momentous events of our time, including the collapse of European communism, the quest for peace in the Middle East, and the democratic struggles of Latin America. With an updated preface, this edition of Witness to Hope explains how this man from a far country did all of that and much more, and what both his accomplishments and the unfinished business of his pontificate mean for the future of the church and the world. So as you can see, it's pretty big. 2 separate inserts full of photographs. And then more towards the back, we've got more, so much more, even color. St. Mother Teresa. It's wild. So yeah, how many pages? This the book itself, with notes and index and everything else, is over 1,000 pages. So that'll be a project. And then so it's kind of interesting how I picked up 2 books by Christopher Hibbert, and then I found 2 books by a man I've been meaning to try to read to understand a little bit more about Irish history. And I know certain people have, well, not certain people, I mean people have certain opinions about this writer, and I have no input and no context. So many of you might comment on this and tell me how you feel about this man. Tim Pat Coogan. I don't know of other alternative Irish historians that might take different stances. I don't know. I'm still trying to feel my way around Irish history and Irish historians. But the first one I picked up, these are a little scratched up, but they're okay. They're nice softcover editions. And these are St. Martin's Griffin editions. But I picked up Tim Pat Coogan's Michael Collins, The Man Who Made Ireland. Very nice book. It's about 500 pages. When the Irish nationalist Michael Collins signed the Anglo-Irish Treaty in December 1921, he observed to Lord Birkenhead that he may have signed his own death warrant. In August 1922, that prophecy came true when Collins was ambushed, shot, and killed by a compatriot. But his vision and legacy lived on. Tim Pat Coogan's biography presents the life of a man whose idealistic vigor and determination were matched by his political realism and organizational abilities. This is the classic biography of the man who created modern Ireland. So it says here, Tim Pat Coogan is one of the best-known journalists and historians in Ireland. Author, broadcaster, and former editor of the Irish Press. Obviously, he's written several books. Tons of different books. He's got a best-selling biography on Eamon de Valera, Ireland Since the Rising. I want to get his book on the IRA, but that one wasn't available. But the other book I wanted to read about was available. And I'm glad I got it. This one's kind of dirty on the cover, but I'll try to clean it up. We got Tim Pat Coogan's The Troubles, Ireland's Ordeal, and the Search for Peace. This one's a little thicker than... This is almost 600 pages. And these editions came out in the 80s, I think. 2002. Oh, they've been around. So, yeah. It says here, Tim Pat Coogan covers the tortured history of Ireland from the beginning of the civil rights movement of the 1960s through the long, horrible years of violence, also terrible, and up to the attempts to find peace. Coogan, author of the definitive biography of Michael Collins, bang, knows what he's writing about, and his access to many of the principles gives this book a particular authority. Going beyond the slogans and tabloid headlines, Coogan provides a good hard look at many of the characters, some of whom prefer to live in the shadows, who act out the deadly drama of divided Ireland. So I was really happy to see these 2 editions, very similar in appearance, on Book Outlet. I'll try to find these other editions for like the IRA and maybe some of the others he's written, but one's actually a little taller than the other. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I picked up those. As I said, just a mini book haul. We'll call this a mini book haul. Okay, so I think I'm pretty much not tapped out, but I think I've pretty much covered every book that Margaret George has written as far as historical fiction. With this purchase, I'm done. I'm done. I've got my Margaret George collection up here. I think it's probably off camera. You can't really see. Yeah, she's way up top there. But a viewer commented on one of my other videos where I showed a book of hers, and she was like, you should really check out the Memoirs of Cleopatra. And I've been meaning to get it, and they had a very nice edition. Again, by St. Martin's Griffin. Wow. I'm just realizing this publisher, it makes a lot of nice trades, soft covers. So look at this nice version. This is the Memoirs of Cleopatra by Margaret George. I'm going to have to keep my eye out for St. Martin's Griffin editions. They just have a little dent or a little rip there, but not a big deal. For the price, I'm really looking forward to losing myself in this one. It says here, best-selling novelist Margaret George brings to life the glittering kingdom of Cleopatra, Queen of the Nile, in this lush, sweeping, and richly detailed saga. Now, I just saw the camera flicker, so it'll be interesting to see if the sound went out. Told in Cleopatra's own voice, this is a mesmerizing tale of ambition, passion, and betrayal, which begins when the 20-year-old queen seeks out the most powerful man in the world, Julius Caesar, and does not end until, having survived the assassination of Caesar and the defeat of the second man she loves, Mark Antony, she plots her own death rather than be paraded in triumph through the streets of Rome. Most of all, in its richness and authenticity, it is an irresistible story that reveals why Margaret George's work has been widely acclaimed as the best kind of historical novel, one the reader can't wait to get lost in. Didn't I just say that? That's crazy. I didn't even see that line. Yes, I could get lost in this. This even has like a reading group guide at the back. But this is 963 pages, so it's a chunkster. But that rounds out my Margaret George historical fiction library, and as soon as I can get started on one of those, I will report back. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm sorry I'm a little bit more low energy than usual, but I wanted to get these books in front of you in case anything sparked your interest and you want to see if Book Outlet still has some copies available. Please do. And I have, like I said, I've got more videos I need to make. I want to put out a new History on the Horizon, number 2. Hopefully I can film that this weekend and get that up there. Just some random updates. Still reading Marple a month. We're reading The Murder at the Vicarage. Lots of people are following along. It's not structured. You read at your own pace, but at the end of the month we are going to do a wrap-up. And boy, will that be exciting and fun and informative. I've got some surprises in store for you in that one. So if you're reading along to Miss Marple or Marple a month, thank you. Hope you're enjoying the book. I know I am. It just zips. I just love the way Christy writes. And then I want to do a video, like I said, showing you what I've read recently and what I'm reading now, just to give you a sense of future reviews maybe and things like that, and give you ideas about, what books to keep on the horizon. What else? But just know that I'm sorry for being MIA. It has been crazy busy, and life has just been life. And in fact, Daisy, our puppy, just got spayed yesterday, so we're busy taking care of her, making sure she's not doing the stairs. We're blocking off the stairs, carrying her up and down, and medications and whatnot. So there's lots of things we're doing in addition to our day jobs, and I've just been feeling really, really wiped out and icky. So let's hope that nothing progresses into anything worse, but hopefully it's just sinus drainage. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there for now. I will try to rally and get some more energy, but I hope you did enjoy at least parts of this video. I know I'm not my usual boisterous self, but I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you soon. I look forward to your comments. Thank you for following, liking, subscribing. You guys are awesome. I'm as dedicated as ever to my channel. September, October has really kind of been a bit more than I anticipated it would be. All right, but I'll close it out now, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. Bye.